Hey everyone, welcome back to Shug Island's Travel Channel.
Today we are going to give you a tour of the famous Catalina Island Casino.
Yes.
That's not a casino. You ready, Shug? Let's take.
Shug's always ready.
Why do I always ask that question? This girl was born ready. All right, let's hit this adventure up. Another day, another adventure. All right, we are doing the VIP backstage tour.
Yes.
We got Paul as our tour guide today.
Mr. William Wrigley Jr. He was responsible for this. You know who he is?
Yep.
Gum mogul.
The gum,
Yeah.
yes.
Chicago Cubs and Catalina Island. He got a call from an investor in 1919 regarding this small island off the coast of California. Wanted to know if he was interested. He said yes, and then I'm told once he and his wife Ada finally got here, they just absolutely fell in love with the place. Other investors, their idea was to parcel up the island and see if they could sell it for a quick profit, but he didn't want that. He wanted the island to stay just as he had found it, which is pretty much the way you see it today. And so he ended up buying those investors out.
Okay.
So now I'm going to take up, and then this was build it and they will come. And he was looking for a way to put Catalina and Avalon on the map. The big bands were going at that time, and that's what this building was all about. When you walk through that door, no matter who you were or what you did, he wanted you to feel special. And then I'll continue the tour at this point. Did you feel special when you walked in?
I sure did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
This is a barreled ceiling, and you can see why we call it that. In between these panels, between the ribs, this is a fresco technique, a wet surface with a dried paint pigment applied to it. And you can see the pattern that's up there is palm fronds. So what they did, they took the dried paint and put it on the palm fronds and then pressed it against the wet surface. The medallions and the gold stars are 22 karat gold leaf. All the lights attached to our building, inside and out, are from a company in San Francisco called Phoenix Day, and they are actually still in business. The woodwork is 4,700 board feet of solid black walnut, and it's been recently reappraised, I'm told, for insurance value of about $10 million.
Wow.
So see if we can figure out a way to get a panel. The furniture has sort of come and gone. You can see this is kind of the wave and a seashell and so on, but the original furniture that would have been in here would have been Catalina furniture. A lot of people have heard about the tile, but not so much about the furniture. Mr. Wrigley had just built the Atwater Hotel, so instead of, I'm told, instead of buying furniture, he just started his own furniture company. And on this tour, I have a couple of samples, so you can see exactly what that looked like.
Okay.
The carpet has been changed, as is the carpet in the theater, but as I mentioned, for the most part, this is opening day, May 29th, 1929, and whatever changes, I'll let you know about them.
Okay.
So now you're back almost 100 years. How does that feel?
Feels like I'm old.
Any questions?
No?
Ready?
We'll take let's go down to the theater. What do you think?
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Not bad. Kind of like the last theater you went to.
I wish.
Take all the pictures you want. Come down and join me in aisle number 12, or row number 12. If you'd like to take a seat. That would be fine. So Patrick, if you were to come to the movie, special for you.
Okay.
And it's for your hat. And if those bars right there, you would put your hat in that. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen that
Wow.
before. Nobody was,
With the theaters, I would wish the whole theaters would have that.
Wow.
so you can hear the acoustics are pretty good in here. Actually, they were perfect for their intent. And that intent was to enhance a primitive sound. This is the first motion picture theater that was designed and built to accommodate the new sound industry. The jazz singer came out in 1927. We started work on this building in 1928. The sound was taken to the side of the room, to the ceiling, and then they used the expression, let it rain down on all 1,164 seats in here. John Gabriel Beckman designed and all the murals in here, as well as the ones in front, if you had an opportunity to look at those. He was the set designer for Hollywood at the time, and he had just worked on Gong's Chinese, and we decided to get him involved in our project. This represents California history intertwined with Greek folklore. I wish I knew what that meant. So, but anyway, they're beautiful. They're painted on a material called jute. In this case, more of a burlap, I think. Two things. It gave Mr. Beckman this nice, soft look he was after, and it also contributed to the acoustics by help dampening the sound on the way to the ceiling. We did a renovation in this room. The big deal, well, on the building, and the big deal in this room was the ceiling. This was originally covered with silver leaf. I don't know if you've ever worked with silver leaf before. But these were 6-inch squares that had to be removed, the back of them, and then burnished to the ceiling. Wow. 6-inch squares. When I read that, I thought, oh, okay. That looks like a lot of work. So, getting into it a little bit, and you can see there's actually 16 of these flashing lights that we have up here. Above each one of these is an electric motor. From that motor down came a cable and would hook on to scaffolding and then pull the workers up to the ceiling. Unfortunately, it all started to crack and peel by the late 80s. So it was all taken down during the renovation and painted as you see it now. The John Gabriel Beckman murals, like I mentioned, on a material called jute, they had simply gotten dusty. And so we brought in the professional dusters. Does anybody know a professional duster? No.
No.
Patrick? So all things considered, apparently that was a pretty quick fix. And the paintings themselves, I'm told, needed little restoration. The seats are original, but they have been reupholstered, and the carpet was changed as well as in the lobby. But once again, for the most part, this is May 29th, 1929. The page organ we see down here, not everybody was convinced that the talkies were going to be successful. If you've ever seen the musical Singing in the Rain, that's kind of what that was all about. This is one of 3 still in existence, and at a price of $40,000 it was installed, just to be on the safe side. Across the top, these are Art Deco cloud formations, and behind that, you can see some vertical lines. Those are baffles, and behind that houses the 1,250 pipes for that organ.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful instrument. We're going to get it back online here in just a little bit. Typically what would happen, we would show a movie on Friday evening, and then if you arrived an hour before, you would be treated to an hour's worth of, yeah, it really is quite amazing. Any questions?
No.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go down and take a closer look at the organ. And then we'll get up on stage. Does anybody sing?
No.
Not anything you want to hear.
Okay. Sort of like me, right? So this is the only remaining piece of the original carpet right there. And then you can see they did a pretty good job to match that. I think.
Yeah, that's very well done.
Just a better look at the organ. And I'm told there's a special effects box that would have gone along with the silent movies as far as whistles blowing and screeching tires and so on. And I'm also told that this can replicate almost any instrument in existence.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks very complicated to play.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it looks like it. There's a fellow by the name of Bob Salisbury that just would play this on Friday evenings, and it's just beautiful. I think he lives up in here. Let's go up on stage. Give you a little different perspective of the room. Watch your step. Looks bigger from up here somehow.
It does. Yeah.
If you look at this ceiling, there's no vertical supports. I saw it has some architectural drawing for you to see what's actually holding that up. If you look here, this goes up to about 8 stories on the other side of that. And these were the backdrops, and they would go straight up. And you can see the overhead lights, footlights, and so on.
How many guests does it hold in this theater?
1,164. Although they've taken a couple of seats there, so make it 61. I saw the original designs, and they were going to put more than almost 2,500 seats in here.
Wow.
Wow.
And I don't know if you noticed or not, but the last 6 rows, those were called the Lowe's section. And those would have cost, you can see they're overstuffed a little bit. There was carpet under your seat. And apparently the sound was a little bit better back there. And they would have cost you 10 cents more, making the total cost 35 cents. So we made some progress, haven't we? I guess. So. Let's go this way.
Wow.
Let me know if you have any questions. So this is called a fly system, and if you've ever seen an MGM musical, this is what they would use to fly in or fly out the backdrops. You can see they were pretty good size, so on the heavy side, with the aid of the counterweights, one person would be able to do that. So we're thinking about another tour that would take you all the way up to.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding. Oh, you're recording that, aren't And she goes, "No, all right, never mind." I have to do it.
It's on tape.
It'd be a hard hat try. It must be some kind of catwalk that goes too. So just so you have your bearings, we're at the very back of the building. If you look through this wall, you'd be looking right at Long Beach. So that's north, south, east, and west. Our island sits east and west. State-of-the-art technology for 1929. Do you like electricity?
Yeah.
What I'd like you to do is just kind of grab onto that and then pull it down slow and steady. I have no idea what it does. That was fun for me.
I thought lights were going to turn on or something.
Okay. Well, these are rheostats, and this is what it took in 1929 to raise and lower lights. This has been all married up to all the lights that you just pointed out, the footlights, the overhead lights. Wow. And when we walk up these stairs, we look behind here, and almost every light switch in your house has a rheostat now of some kind, but that's what it took to do that in 1929.
Wow.
So, again, we've made some progress. Everything this did do, I'm told, is now probably in a phone or remote control of some kind.
It's all done by, it's all LEDs now, I would guess.
What's that?
It's all LEDs.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
The new ones, yes. If you look up, you can also see that there's a sprinkling system in this building. I'm told this is one of the first West Coast buildings to be sprinkled during construction in 1928, mostly because we were showing film that was very volatile at that time. And you can see the fire doors here. The whole idea was to, if a fire did start, was to keep it in the theater, a lot of emergency exits down here, and not let it go up to the ballroom. So, any questions? Everybody doing okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Very
all
cool.
right. Let me know. And take a look at the so-called rheostats back here. And then I'm going to have you guys come up this way and walk up these stairs. We're going to turn to the left. We'll come back down this way, so. Yeah. So this is the green room. You've heard that expression. I looked it up. It had nothing to do with the color of the room. It was the people that were in it. They were green or inexperienced, and see if they could find a way on stage, whatever that would have been. The vanity here is original. My wife was is our company historian. Her family goes back to 1857. They were ranchers down at the West End anyway. So a lot of her knowledge is from relatives and so on. Anyway, this is an example of the Catalina furniture. You see another piece over there. And this is what this would have been all about. This is the big bands. This is Benny Goodman with the liquor stick that it's my place up here. Okay, see if you're paying attention. This is the pier that's no longer there. This is where the steamers would have come in. And they held about 1,800 people each, and they would unload, and people would walk over to the casino and come up to listen to the big bands. And just take a mental picture of that, and we can see that there's a lot more homes on that side of the hill here. Well, that last thing.
Pier got washed away, I presume? And
No, they took it out. Late 50s, we started to run out of business. Rock and roll.
killed the big bands.
Yeah, exactly. So we started to lose business, and they actually decommissioned the steamers and no longer needed for the piers. So. And that's, you guys came in, and that's called the mole out there. When they removed this pier, it gave us all this additional room in our harbor for the moorings out there. And the boaters bring a lot of revenue into our city and seem to enjoy it quite a bit. Kind of looks like him a little bit, doesn't it?
I'm trying to figure out if I can recognize which of his female singers that is. He had a couple of them over his tenure.
There's always a female singer, right? Yeah.
And he had strong rules about if you dated the female singer, you were out of the band.
Is that right?
That's part of his contract, yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yep.
Tex Beneke, does that sound
That's
familiar?
that was
Okay.
one of his male singers.
Yeah.
But I'm trying, yeah.
Do you like the big band music?
Mhm.
Of course you do.
Who doesn't?
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Little heads up, gentlemen. This is actually my wife's grandmother's fur coat.
Oh,
And
wow.
this would have been a dress and the outfit that they would have worn to an event up here. That was in storage. She wanted to bring it down here. So I don't put a fur coat in the dryer.
Uh-oh.
It kind of didn't smell very good. So I threw it in the dryer with a bounce pad, and anyway, she forgave me for all that. This is one of the costumes that the cigarette girls would wear. And I'm not sure where the hat came from, but once again, you can see the sprinkling system. This has been for the backup entertainers. This would have been for the headliners. Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, that era of movie star and so on. So they would have all about status. Had your gold star, your name up here. This is another example of the Catalina furniture. And benches like that would have been in the lobby as opposed to the furniture that you see in there now. I'm told that they would have been painted a little bit more elaborate and so on. The vanity there is original as well. And then this one down here a little bit more for the ladies. Every once in a while I see something from our house down here. Sooner or later we'll get the walls to talk, right?
I like the sewing machine, just in case somebody needed to be sewn into their dress.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see what happened here. You get dressed here and then go down these stairs and perform on the theater stage, or go up 4 flights of stairs and be on the ballroom. We're going to go up 2 flights of stairs.
Wow.
So this is some of the entertainment that go around this movie behind the scenes. Quite a few entertainers, so they can just come down 2 flights of stairs from the ball, spend some time here, rest, have something to eat. About 25 years ago, we made all of this into a fitness center. Put the rubber runners down and a lot of equipment, and that's why you see all the mirrors on the walls. Well, it's fireproof, so there's probably some asbestos in there, and it's left intact. This is also when people feel the spirits every once in a while. I can tell exactly the body language when somebody is connected somehow. So, everybody doing okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice seats.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
adjustment seats.
That is, yeah.
And we have Popeye.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So this is his private suite, essentially.
It was. I'm told, apparently Mr. Ridley didn't care for it much. I mean, he was very much a man of the people. This was his city, his town. And if he was going to come to the movie, he would sit down with the patrons. And I understand he would walk around and go into each business and see if everything was okay. Is there something I need to fix or whatever? So, and then even on occasion he would stand outside in the front and field questions from the people who just watched the movie. So, when we decided to do this tour and take this route, it was full of stories, and in uncovering all the stories, we discovered her. There's a, apparently John Gabriel Beckman painted this. He didn't actually paint anything in the theater. He commissioned 5 different artists to execute the work in there. But he did paint this, but more importantly, behind her is the only silver leaf,
Oh, that's left?
surviving silver leaf, and if you can look closely, you can see the 6-inch squares that I was talking about.
Huh.
So imagine that covering the
The whole
entire ceiling of
Wow.
the theater. Just when I read that, I thought, that's crazy.
Wow.
Review that. We think Egyptian, very popular at the time. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, not too sure about the pose, but there she is. So again, all the silver leaf in the ballroom as well suffered that consequence. So a lot of people thought it had to do with being able to smoke in there for whatever reason.
Did that what degraded the finish?
Could have been.
Cigarette
Yep.
smoke?
Yep. Or contributed to it one way or the other, because there's a pretty good ventilation system in this building. So, any questions? We're doing okay? Everybody comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Safe original?
Yeah. You know what? We found the combination, opened it up, and
Oh, wow.
Jimmy Hoffa was finally found it. I mean, this isn't going anywhere. As you can see, apparently the cash that came from the Catalina Island company was in there. They did find it, and there were ledgers in there. So we opened on May 29th, 1929, so during Prohibition. And I'm told that whoever put the bar in was excused immediately. So. didn't sell alcohol until 1947 in here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those were the times.
This is a portion of the tour. I really enjoy it. I hope you guys do as well. This is, when I started doing this, I mean, I've always loved movies. I grew up with movies, black and white movies and so on. And I didn't think much of it then, but Hollywood leaps and bounds. They had to invent things as they progressed, or in order for them to progress. Kind of like the space industry I worked in. Anyway, so this is our, this set would have been in the projection room. I brought it in here to show you. This is our first projector, the Simplex. But this was the lighting system. We apparently didn't have an electric light bulb powerful enough to project 35 millimeter film onto a screen 107 feet away. So this was, if you can see this here, carbon arc. You've seen a welder strike their arc, and that was the light that was generated right here, and then off of this reflected back, these would have been married up and then onto the screen. So the operator's job, and you can see I can manipulate this from the outside. As soon as the electricity went on, you've seen a welder flip his hood down or burger, and that's what this green glass is. His job would have been to advance that rod as it burned and tried to keep about a 3/16 of an inch gap between that, and that would have given you, I was a welder for about 6 years. Anyway, and that, you know, you get good at stuff like that. But if you made a mistake, if you got it too close to the other rod, it would stick and weld and everything would get out of sync, and the people would come at you with pitchforks, and, you know, so and if it was too far apart, the film would appear to flicker. And if you've ever heard the expression, "Let's go to the flicks," this is the origin.
Okay.
So this is 1929. Let's walk in here. This is 1939. You can see that we're still doing the carbon arc. A little easier to load here. And then also there's an electric motor that's been put in, so it does it automatically. You don't have to do it manually. That's correct. So we have 2 projectors now, and the reason was being that the movies were getting quite long. So when you think about it, went from Barely Talking to Gone with the Wind in 1939, which I think won the Best Motion Picture that. A lot of good pictures in 1939, but and it was almost 4 hours long, 3 hours and 52 minutes. So you can't get an entire film on one of these reels. So we think maybe they might have come in 14 reels. So you put number 1 on here, number 2, fire it up, and all of a sudden you got the movie playing. Da-da-da-da. Yep. And then eventually this little bell would ring, and that was to warn the projectionist that this is almost over, prep this one. And then the next cue actually came up on the screen. And if you, as a boy, I remember it was on the border, and it was a little circle or a dot, and that's when they would turn on this one.
Huh.
This one would take over. There might have been some hiccup there, but who cares? So then when you think about it, number 1's down there, and you're going to take that off and rewind it a little bit, and put number 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So very hands-on. You can see how heavily we're sprinkled here because this is where they thought the fire would start. So heat, like I said, I was a welder. I know what those, they didn't smell very good, those rods. and noisy. So the environment changed. Any questions at this point?
Would one person be working up here, or did it take multiple people?
There was probably an apprentice of some kind, I would think. I mean, we have a bathroom there, so the person that was doing this could not leave the area. So, and I would think, actually, one of our projectionists was a fellow by the name of Doherty, and he was married to Norma Jean Baker, Marilyn Monroe, when she lived up here. So I keep wanting to see her ghost. So I thought she might think I would appear.
No luck so far?
No luck, yeah. This came along in the late 70s. So if you were watching movies, this is called the platter system for obvious reasons. And what they did here, actually they took the film off of the reel. One of those. And then you can see the raw film here. The other thing is that it unwound from the middle. So what they did, instead of the edge, they would splice reel number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'd have an entire movie on this platter. And then it would have been threaded through here, played through this, come out the bottom, and then taken up on this platter. And the big deal was that you started out or ended up with exactly what you started out with. So you just pick this up, put it up here.
Next showing.
Rewinding the film was the hardest thing on it. So you wouldn't rewind it until you send it back to Hollywood. You would put it back on the reels and then put it in the canister and then back to Hollywood. So you put this on and boom, you're ready to go. Going this back and forth, no more carbon arcs, so on. So big jump. And then today we show our movies on the Christie here, which is, I think that's what's showing on Popeye. So that's digital with surround sound.
Do any of those do anything?
This had to do, you saw the one downstairs.
Right.
This had to do with the house lights. And apparently they could create several different atmospheres in there. You saw the ceiling, they could have a moon go over, clouds go over, take the room to a different feeling. So if there was a live performance going on, they could actually enhance the entire room to focus on what that was on stage. Not so much with a movie, because you're watching a movie, but everybody, did you enjoy that? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I know you did. This is our Hollywood room. In the early going, Catalina was used as a location spot. They would actually barge all their stuff. This is before airplanes became more available after the war and so on. But they would bring all their gear over here. It's a desert island, but we have places that have pine trees. We have a reservoir that looks like a lake. Obviously, the beautiful seascapes and so on. The full-length movie that was built here, or made here, was Mutiny on the Bounty, the Clark Gable version, and that was all down in Two Harbors. They actually built a little West Indies village down there, and they built almost full-size boats to film that movie. Hollywood, we were in a lot of movies, but the screen time was limited. You can see all the movies we were in here, but not a lot of those. The other movie that was made in 1925 was The Vanishing American, and that's how the buffalo got here. They brought over the buffalo. It was
for that
the
movie.
American Indian, yeah. And after the movie was over, apparently they just left the buffalo here, and the buffalo did what they did, and all of a sudden they've got 500 head. The Conservancy is in the late 70s. We made a deal with the state of California that 88% of the island would go into conservancy with the state of California. And now they are, the Conservancy is sort of stewards of the island, and they actually control the buffalo herd. The females are on birth control. So anyway, keep it at about 175 head. And every once in a while, a couple are sent to, where they should be, and then a couple will end up on your menu. I don't know a better way to say that. So, speaking of part-time, or just as far as in this movie, Chinatown, Jack Nicholson gets off a boat at the yacht club and gets in the scene. But that's it. Then the next scene ends up in Orange County someplace. Yeah, exactly. John Huston, that's right.
But I must say, in that movie, they talk about the Albacore Club, which I figured must have been a stand-in for the Tuna Club.
It was,
Yeah.
exactly, right. And then this one, this is the Doris Day outfit that was worn by Doris Day. We lost her. That's too bad. I loved her. Apparently, my wife was someplace in the background on one of these things.
Oh, well.
This was, I don't know if you remember this, but this was a glass bottom boat. This was after James Bond had come out and a lot of spoofs were done on spies and so on. Any questions? Doing okay?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Let's go this way. Watch your step. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's not right. Okay. Did that turn off the light in there? So now we're on the east side of the building. This is one of the sets of ramps. You notice this, the deal, one of the initial issues with this building was when all those people got off the big steamships, we had to figure out a way to get them from the 10th or the first floor up to the 10th floor where the ballroom are. This is, these are fashioned after Wrigley Field and stadium ramps. 6 of these get you up 10 stories. So, and they would have been carpeted originally, and but that led to holes and liability. Anyway, so they still work very well. So there's one on this side and one on the other side as well. East side, west side. So if you saw the doors at the bottom, they led to these. So this is number 1 would be there. This is number 2, 3, and 4. And we'll go up to the mezzanine level. All the events we have up here are formal, and the ladies need to wear high heels. However, they've kind of keep the high heels in their purse and wear tennis shoes up and down the ramps. First time I saw it, it was a beautiful night, ball gown, but then some Nike high tops on the feet. This is the mezzanine level. Basically like a baseball field. It was, you have the gentleman's lounge here, and then all the way around you have the ladies' lounge. This is called the Marine Bar. After the tour, you have complete use of the building. I suggest that you come down and watch this movie. It's about 10 minutes long. Kind of maybe fill in some gaps that I might have missed someplace. But the tables and chairs, so the reason for this is upstairs was dancing. And if you decided you wanted to take a break, came down here, refresh, relax, use the restroom, and then head back up and do it some more. Apparently on the steamers, there you go. That's the pier that's no longer there. Good time. You could dance on there as well. They had a band. You could play, dance. So you dance for 2 hours on the way over here, and then dance here for 5 or 6 hours, 7 hours, and then dance on the boat on the way back.
Ooh, a lot of
You
dancing.
just dance home.
Yes.
So.
I always remember pulling into the dock that's no longer.
That's right.
Kids would be in the water and they'd be going, throw a coin, throw a big quarter and watch them dive down. And some kid would always be brave enough to sneak on the boat and get up and dive off the dock.
The ladies' lounge is right down there. Here's the other set of ramps. This is Avalon Bay in 1917. This is when the Banning brothers owned the island. You've probably heard that name before. And Mr. Wrigley bought it. First thing he does was flatten this rock. This was called Sugarloaf Point, to put in put in this, and that was called the Little Casino, and that stayed there. That went up there in about 1920, and that stayed there until we started working on this building. At that point, this was taken down and moved up to the bird park. Superstructure was moved up to the bird park, caged in, and then became the world's largest bird cage at that particular time. So, how many months to build the building?
14.
Okay. So once this was taken down, you have this footprint here. 9 months later, you've got this. Amazing. And then 5 months after that, you have May 29th, 1929. When you think about everything that went into this building was brought from the mainland, offloaded here, and then put into place. They talk about almost 30,000 individual pieces of prefab steel that were brought over and then put together. This is another thing I think is interesting, only because today we can pump concrete just about any place we want. You see the big hoses. Not so much in 1929. This tower went into a concrete pit, and then it was augured up, and then to a hopper, gravity fed into another hopper, and then into a wheelbarrow. So all the concrete that's in this building was, and you can see how it goes up as the building goes up. So we're almost finished here, working on the top floor. This is a cantilever principle. Most of the way it was explained to me is that most of the vertical weight of the building is distributed to the perimeter of it. So what that allowed us to do, this is the theater, this is the ballroom, was to suspend a 15,000 square foot wooden dance floor across here. This is where we are right now. This is the projection room. The area between the two rooms is about 6 feet, my height, and the acoustics in there were pretty good. You could have 3,000 people dancing up here. and then showing the movie at the same time.
Wow.
They couldn't hear each other, so. There's also, when we get up to the ballroom, there's a fan up here, and I'll explain what's going on. And, pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Come over here. So this is what this is all about. This is Benny Goodman. This is Kay Kaiser. Kay Kaiser still holds the record for 6,200 people on that dance floor at one time. And you just saw that it was suspended and started to move around a little bit. So. But I think this young lady right here, sort of, that's what this generation was all about. They danced, they went, I danced at the Rendezvous Ballroom. I was born and raised in Long Beach. So the two biggest dance places in Southern California I got to do. So, but you can see all the smiling faces and then all the different bands that played here. So, when we started to go, started to broadcast on CBS, on the radio, that's kind of like, okay, I know where it's coming from now. And I lived in Long Beach. Dad would turn on the Philco or whatever it was. And then on Saturday night, it said, from the beautiful casino ballroom overlooking Avalon Bay, at Catalina Island, we bring you the music of little did I know that I would be reciting that after hearing it. Oh, it's just right over there. I came over here in 1957 on one of the big white steamers, and I got so seasick. I swore I'd never come back. So, I've been here for 38 years. So.
Okay.
My wife called me up one night and said that she'd bought a business over here. Wanted to know if I wanted to join her. So, just about all of them up there. Glenn Miller was the only fellow that didn't play here. There was what do you call it, a cover band? Is that? And we lost him in 32.
I see Jimmy Dorsey.
Yeah,
I don't see
exactly.
Tommy, but I would imagine that the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra must have come here too. At some point. That's awesome.
Stan Kenton and Woody Herman started to get a little bit more
Yep, responsible for
yeah.
developing jazz. after
jazz,
the Big Band
exactly,
era. Yeah.
right. Buddy Rogers was a favorite.
But a lot of those big bebop artists were in these bands. I mean, at some point
Yeah.
before the 50s.
Exactly.
Fletcher Henderson. Yeah. That's awesome.
Now, that's got to be Xavier's wife,
Yep.
right?
Must be.
Just went out on her own, just like.
That's awesome.
So down here, again, this would have been tables and chairs. Actually, this was actually called the Corral Room. You don't usually do this on a tour, but if you look in here, this facade covers this. See the corral?
Yeah.
And the Wrigley's, I don't know if you can see that. The Wrigley's raised, bred, showed Arabian horses. So at one time, this was the corral room. Can you see that, Marilyn? And they would have all their horse tack and so on here amongst the Art Deco, which always kind of struck me as funny. You didn't get that, did you?
No.
Edit that out, okay, all right. So the ladies' lounge is right down here, and I think the ladies should have a look at that. You ever seen a Fred Astaire movie and check
Yeah.
the top hat? This still works, we still use it. Anybody here? Oh, you are, okay. What do you think? Kind of fun? Yeah. So, the John Gabriel Beckman palette was all these colors. This is the only colors that you would see. There's another example in the ballroom of the building that lived in the theater. So, this is all Catalina tile. I don't know if you've heard of that. So, all things considered, that's a very expensive bathroom, considering those are probably
This is the original finish.
it is, yep. Matter of fact, the tile company was started specifically to supply this building with all the tile in it. It wasn't until a year later that they started making or doing the pottery, the plates and so on. If this place could talk. Right? One telephone here and one telephone in the gentleman's restroom. Now we have 4,000. We got all these kids, 1,500 years, ladies, guys. That's what else we do.
Wow.
So we're on the west side of the building now. These are ramps 5 and 6. These will take us up to the hall. Memorial Day, we started roller skating up here. Come on. Somebody roller skating. See what I mean about, imagine everybody in their period outfits and you walk up and come up here and all of a sudden you go back to 1935 if you want to, or whatever. So just a couple of numbers, 20,000 square feet. Again, no vertical supports. This is the original dance floor. It's maple, white oak, and cherry. Opening day, this tier wouldn't have been here. The dance floor would have gone all the way up to that wall. The bar wouldn't have been there because Prohibition. Then you could walk through those panels you see would have been the French doors and windows, and you could walk in what was called the lobby and get a refreshment of some kind. Mostly, I think it was Coca-Cola, and that went with the rum in your flask.
Okay.
So you could have rum and Coke. So all the silver you see in here as well suffered the same consequence. So the stairs that we were on, if we would have gone all the way to the top, it would have been right behind these two doors here. And then the original bandstand is behind the curtains. Okay? The extension was put on there to allow for all the amplifiers and so on that we have now. So it's just beautiful. We have a New Year's Eve ball as well, so it's a lot of people do wear period outfits. Guys, tuxedos if you have them. Guys look good in tuxedos. about 500 balloons up there in a net. By the way, while we're looking up there, that's the color palette right there. See that? That's a John Gabriel Duncan design. Once again, the lights are from Phoenix Day. About 12 feet up, there's a squirrel cage fan, and I'm told you can imagine 3,000 or 4,000 people dancing, smoking, get kind of stuffy in here. So they could open up all the doors and windows, turn on that fan, and exchange the air in this room in about 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Kind of like a big vacuum. Wanted to call it that. So it's beautiful. The darker it gets outside, the prettier this room is. New Year's Eve, there's tables and chairs on the floor. This right here, the circle and up to the bandstand is where you dance. We have about 850, 900 people that show up.
Wow.
It's what'd you do last New Year's Eve?
On the couch.
Okay.
On the couch.
Yes, yes.
So if you ever decide to resurrect New Year's Eve,
Okay.
listen, it's fantastic, something different. You know?
Wow.
It's reasonable in the sense of money well spent. I think it's $200 per person. That does include a buffet dinner and so on. Yeah. Of course, then you have to have a boat and a place to stay, unless you have know somebody with the boat. You have a place to stay. So, we put this up. 10 stories. Why did we do that?
I don't know.
We wanted you to have this beautiful view.
Oh, okay.
Just go out there, walk outside. It's called the Romance Promenade.
Now that's a view.
Yes.
Pretty nice view, don't you think?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
What's the day? Monday? You can see yesterday that would have been full of boats. Those two restaurants right over there, that's where the other pier was, as far as the steamer pier. That one it's always been called the pleasure pier, and that's where you would rent things and get on the glass water boat and so on. My place, that is the Wrigley Mansion, and for the last 30 years, actually 35 years now, it's called the Mount Ada. It's a 6-room bed and breakfast. You can stay up there. It's a couple of dollar signs, but your food is provided. There's a golf cart that goes with your room. So once again, money well spent, I think.
Restaurant's supposed to be pretty good, right? Or the food is pretty good. The food is pretty good up there at that place.
They don't have a restaurant up there. It's a kitchen.
Well, that's what, right.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, you can go down and use the kitchen. They have that here. So, my wife worked up there for about 10 years, and in February they sort of do maintenance on it. So we got to stay up there for 3 nights.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of fun pretending you were wealthy. And Mr. Wrigley's room was top right, and there's a terrace that would go out. So he could look down and see how the baseball team was doing. The field is no longer there. Exactly, the spring training. The Cubs, yeah. Pretty, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is a desert island, I mentioned that. Someplace along the line, Wrigley's mentioned that if you come to an island, you better have some palm trees, right? So apparently, in the early going, they were digging up some large boulevards in Pasadena. They have a house there as well. Mm-hmm. It's now the Tournament of Roses house for the Rose Parade.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're pulling up all these palm trees. Send us trucks, put them on the boat. So originally, the palm trees that you see were imported from Pasadena. And the only place you're going to see them is here in Avalon, 2 harbors. If you go into the rest of the island, maybe some of the campgrounds might have planted them, so on and so forth, the ones by the ocean, but that's it.
Is that a church up there at the top where the
It's
bell is?
a chimes tower, and that was donated to the city of Avalon by Ada Wrigley, and it was in 1925. So it just had a 100 years birthday.
Wow.
This year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see the 100 on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. And they, the foundation was crumbling a little bit. They thought they were going to lose it. However, you can see that they managed to keep it on track and restore it. Took them about 3 years, but that's okay. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Chimes every 15 minutes.
Okay.
So. Well, that's pretty much going to conclude our tour. I'd like to thank you guys.
Thank you.
You have, with your wristbands, I would suggest walking around here and get a feel for that. And then
Okay.
Before you leave, watch that movie.
Right down there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Awesome
Thank
tour.
you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. You guys did wonderful.
It was, yes.
Tell your friends.
As many
Definitely.
times as we've been to Catalina, we've never come over here to the casino. This is our first
nice.
time.
Yes.
Good, good.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you came on the day
So
I
am
came.
I. So
Yes.
am I.
All right.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Paul.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, Shug. Wow.
That was really nice.
That's like speechless. Wow. As many times as we've been over to Catalina, we've never come over here to the casino.
Never.
So, wow, that was absolutely incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour
Yes.
as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell and that like button. We'd also like to thank all of our members. We really appreciate everything that you do for us and our adrenaline junkies,
Yes.
Victoria Jackson and Misbehavin'. And we will see you guys on our next adventure.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.